The views, opinions, and statements expressed in this program are those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Anything Entertainment Network.
Huey Newton founded the Black Panther Party with the help of his Oakland City College classmate Bobby Seale and his childhood friend David Hilliard. Writes.
So the concept is this, basically. The whole black nation has to be put together as a black army.
United States, with a readership of over 250,000 per week. Communities. Due to their growing popularity, FBI Director.
So the concept is this, basically. The whole black nation has to be put together as a black army.
Back or you'll be arrested for obstruction. Then arrest me, but you're not taking it without probable cause.
Democracy. Alright? And we already know that, right? Democracy, that democracy is nothing but plain hypocrisy. What's it called?
Free the land, you understand?
That's right, free the land, you understand. That we are not going to survive the revolution, we have to build the revolution.
Buying our products, but also not enough that they don't need to keep working for us.
It felt like scripture, you know what I'm saying?
A sober analysis and like what is the actual need in your community.
What was the role and purpose of the police here?
These folks were and how and what their role was.
Does not detract in any way from any organization doing what they're doing.
Asata Shakur, so we lift up all of those names and all those who we were able to bring home who are still with us.
I'm Jalil Mutakim, and you have the podcast of We Are Our Own Liberators. Habarigani, Jumbo, Assalamu alaikum, peace, pause, Habarigani, Jumbo, Hareen, Hafa Adea, Haping, whatever your native like, Shalom, Guten Tag, whatever your native language is, I wish you peace and solidarity. You are on Our Own Liberators podcast. I'm your host, Jalil Mutakim. We are produced by the Black Dragon Multimedia Enterprise, and we're streamlined on Anything Entertainment Network. And this is our podcast. This is, I think, my sixth podcast here. We have special guests that we're going to share on both on the national and international level, the issues that we have to confront in our struggle against imperialism, against fascism, against patriarchy, against colonialism, against white supremacy. That is our goal, that's our objective for this podcast. And our course of action is one that we have to build international solidarity as best we possibly can here and abroad. I have my engineer begin the process for our entering our special guest, and we'll take it from there. Our first guest is Konstantina Corsiati, coordinator of the Anti-Imperialist Front in Greece, responsible for the relationship to the Anti-Imperialist Front, especially in West Asia, in the Middle East, the coordinator of the International Campaign Against NATO, part of the delegation that was visited Syria in April and May of 2024, a delegation visit to Lebanon in September 2025, in 2020, in October 25, and also 2017, a delegation until victory was supporting Palestinian resistance with events over the world, in the world. Our mission is to support Gaza, organizers of events and activities for growing the anti-imperialist struggle around the world, fighting for freedom of political prisoners and revolutionaries around the world. She's the organized coalition for solidarity revolutionary prisoners in Greece, Turkey, Germany, France, United Kingdom, U.S., Latin America, and also fighting for freedom of Palestinian prisoners from Zionist jails. She's an organizer meeting such as in Palestinian camps in Lebanon and delegation support of Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, Donbass, strengthening the anti-imperialist, anti-Zionist, anti-fascist struggle and support of resistance of people against U.S. and Zionist entity. She's an organizer symposium of anti-imperialist front. She goes on and on and on. I'm going to stop there because where we met was I was invited to come to Greece for the anti-imperialist front and support of political prisoners, and that's how we met. And she's been engaged in these struggles ever since. Our next guest is my dear comrade and cousin, ABBAS King.
And I live in Oakland, California. I majored in political science and minored in African American studies while studying at the University of California, Berkeley. And upon graduation, I taught at the same university for a while. Meanwhile, I have been a podcaster for years and co-host a podcast called Hella Black, where we also produce independent media. I also co-run an organization called People's Programs that provides free community programs to the Black community in Oakland. And of course, the freedom of Black people in America is one of my primary concerns.
For the people, free the land.
I love history. I know that the answers to my questions are always found within history. After converting to Islam, I became more familiar with the Islamic Revolution of Iran.
Thank you. Abbas, there's a lot more in his introduction that we have not been talked about. It's the second time on the program, but we will get into his work and the things that he's doing as well. And our last guest, and as just as important guest, is William Kamakura. He's going to talk about the issues regarding Venezuela and him having had invited me to come to Venezuela some years ago.
De los 72 años que tiene Yalil, 49 los pasó en una prisión en Estados Unidos. Lo acusaron del asesinato de un policía mientras era miembro del partido Pantera Negra, organización a la que se unió tras el asesinato de Martin Luther King. Yalil asegura que él no mató a ningún policía y que se trató de un montaje fabricado por el FBI con el objetivo de desprestigiar y criminalizar la lucha de los afroestadounidenses.
1968, when Dr. Martin Luther King, soon before Dr. Martin Luther King was murdered, right, there was a sanitation strike in Memphis, Tennessee. And Dr. Martin Luther King went to support the sanitation strike, Black sanitation workers. And as they were doing their strike, they had to wear a body black card, a full body black card. You know what it said? I am a man. Why? Why would they have to wear a full body black card saying I am a man? Because we lived in a system that dehumanized, degraded, and devalued human beings, Black people.
Yalil aún se emociona cuando recuerda aquel día de 2020 cuando recuperó su libertad.
My mom stood with me 50 years, nearly 50 years I was in prison. And for the first time when I got out of prison, right, she waited for me. She stayed there. She was waiting for me to come home. And when I got out of prison, 1 week later, they came and arrested me again. Said that I illegally registered to vote. The first time in New York history that anyone has ever been charged with that. Right? A misdemeanor. And they arrested me, tried to send me back to prison in front of my mom. That's what the state does. That's the kind of victimization that we have suffered in the United States for over 400 years.
Los casi 50 años en prisión no minaron la moral de Yalil. Él se niega a ser indiferente ante cualquier injusticia. Por eso ahora se dedica a luchar por la libertad de los presos políticos que hay en Estados Unidos, entre ellos el diplomático venezolano Alex Saab.
It's extremely important for Alex to know, right, that in as much as we have our own political prisoners in the United States, like Mumia Abu Jamal, like Imam Jamil Al-Amin, like Leonard Peltier, to name a few, and we have many, many more, right? We would recognize him as also being a political prisoner, right? We note that the United States is in violation of international law when they kidnap a diplomat and hold him for ransom. That's what they're doing. Why the embargo? Because the United States want to appropriate the petroleum of Venezuela. These are oil wars. That's what it is. Come on, let's look at it. Let's understand what's going on. Okay? It's oil wars, where they wanted to take 80% of the profit from this oil in this country. And Chavez says, no, we're not doing that.
Jalil cuenta que hoy se siente pleno porque puede volver a luchar en las calles. Y a pesar de todo lo sufrido y todo lo perdido, sigue soñando con un mundo mejor y más justo para todos. Karen Méndez, Venezuela News, Caracas.
Let me thank William for inviting me to come to Venezuela in support of Alex Saab. We were successful in getting him released and returned home. William, you mind giving us a little bio about yourself and your work with the Venezuela government?
Well, I work with Venezuelan Solidarity Network. We are activists in United States, all over United States, working in solidarity, especially with Venezuela, but also we partnership with people from Palestine, Iran, and we also work with several Afro-American groups here in the city and all over United States. Yes, I'm from Venezuela, an American citizen. And also I have been working in solidarity with the Bolivarian Revolution for over 27 years already, 27 years. And so basically, I believe that this is one of the most critical moments that we have been living since I've been working in solidarity with Venezuela. Everybody knows the Venezuelan president was kidnapped and illegal and a very illegal measure took by the Trump administration. They decide basically to violate the Venezuelan sovereignty, kidnap a democratically elected president, and also kill in the middle more than 100 people that were resisting the military invasion from United States. It's a very critical moment that we are facing since October 7, 2003, when the the Zionists start genocide against the Palestinian people. Since that happened, without any consequence to the uh, criminal that execute the genocide against the Palestinian people, seeing that the imperial, the United States, seeing that they believe that they can do everything, they can violate any international law without any consequence, and that's why they went to Venezuela, kidnapped the Venezuelan president, and that's why now we are facing this ugly conflict against the Iranian people, a country that has not been attacking anyone in the Middle East, that is basically have been establishing friendships with the countries around the globe, and is now under threat from this administration. It's a crazy thing that's going on right now. It's a very dangerous what's going on right now, and it's something that can take us to another war, a third war, a war that could basically threat the entire life on the planet. So we are facing a very difficult moment. We are on the threat, although the Bolivarian Revolution is still in place. So the Bolivarian Revolution is under threat, constantly under threat, and they are using the fact that the President Maduro, the President of Venezuela, and the First Lady are here, kidnapped in United States and Brooklyn. They are using their car to extortion and to blackmail the Venezuelan government to impose some kind of concession against the Venezuelan people. So there is a discussion right now taking place between Venezuela and United States in a extremely difficult circumstance when because they have the Venezuelan president here kidnapped. And the ugly condition, for example, especially for the president that is completely isolated, that he doesn't have call and he received only visit. The only visit that he received is his lawyer, and it's the only time that he's able to see his wife, the first lady, and talk to her and talk to his lawyer. The rest of the time is completely isolated, and it's a very difficult moment, and I think that yeah, it's a very ugly moment for the entire planet, really, because the Trump administration is not only a threat for the entire planet, but also a threat for people here in America, for people here that, for people of color in the United States that have been basically kidnapped by ICE and that have been sent to prisons all over United States, outside of United States, without commit any crime, just because their colors. But just because you are brown or you are black, you could be arrested, or just because you have another language. So we have really to organize and to fight back and to strengthen our alliance with every single left group, with every revolutionary forces, not only in the United States, but all over the planet.
Thank you, William. You're absolutely correct. And this is part of the history of the United States. They've been doing this for decades. I remember when they arrested Noriega out of Panama. They kidnapped him. They kidnapped Aristide out of Haiti at one time and sent him to South Africa at one time.
What is unprecedented is that basically President Maduro, at the same that Aristide, were democratically elected, but this was a military action where they killed a bunch of people and they kidnapped a president that was democratically elected. And it's more similar to the case of Aristide than the Panama case. And also it's something that they have done, yes. In the case of Alex Saab, he was basically kidnapped. But this is a very critical moment because they killed a bunch of people, they destroyed a bunch of the infrastructure, and they kidnapped the president and the first lady. That really is something extremely upsetting. It's extremely ugly for the international relation, and it's a precedent, really.
Yeah, it is a precedent. In as much as they also kidnapped Alex Saab when he was out there doing the work for Venezuela as an ambassador, and they kidnapped him from Cape Verde out of Africa, and then brought him to the MCC in Florida before he was able to fight for his release. We will fight for the release of President Mandela too. We rest assured of that. William, can you tell us more about what's the current situation with President Mandela and the First Lady's case? When are they going to trial, and when are they going to have hearings, and what can people, particularly in New York City, what can they do in support of the President Mandela and the First Lady?
Basically, this is an important question. I think that people should know that we are organizing a big demo this coming 26 in front of the courts, federal courts, downtown Manhattan, to support President Maduro and to denounce his kidnapping and the killing of a bunch of Venezuelan people and the destruction of the infrastructure of the country. We are also very worried about the condition of First Lady Celia Flores, because basically in the process that she was kidnapped, she suffered several injuries. She got 22 stitches in her head, and she has several brushes all over her body. And President Maduro also had one of his leg. He was injured. He was unable to walk very well when he was, when when they brought him to United States. You were able to see that he was walking very uncomfortable, and he had injury in one of his legs. Seems that they are very much better now, but they are completely isolated. They cannot talk about themselves, and especially President Maduro, he is not able to receive any visit, and he also they are putting conditions to the Venezuelan government to pay his lawyer, so they are able to pay Celia Flores lawyer, but they are not able to pay President Maduro lawyer. So that kind of condition that they are imposing to the legal team that are defending President Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores. And this is something that we have to really take in consideration to mobilize this coming 26.
Constantina, having heard that in regards to what Williams stated and what's happening in Venezuela, and knowing that the work that you're doing in Europe and what's going on in Europe right now, and particularly in regards to the United States trying to incorporate Europe into this idea of anti-immigrant, people of color, essentially in European communities. What is the anti-imperialist front, first of all? And second of all, how is the anti-imperialist front looking at what's going on in Europe today, particularly what's happening in other parts of the world? Constantina.
Hello. First, thank you about this great invitation and your great effort about this TV channel that is really giving the voice to the people and giving the power to the people, as all your work that you're doing about the liberation of the Black people, but all the oppressed people of the world that they are fighting against U.S. imperialism, and mostly you that you are inside the belly of the beast, really. And this is very admirable, and I'm very happy that I see you again. Great comrade Jalil Mutekim and all the guests here. It's an honor for us to speak with you because we combine in this way our anti-imperialist struggle, that it will be victorious for sure, because it's the only right struggle now around the world, is the people's struggle against US, NATO, EU imperialism, and for sure their puppets as a Zionist entity and all the collaborator regimes. Yeah, for sure. As you passed this to the Venezuela, before that, I want to really hear, because it's very crucial situation, and we must tell this. I want to glorify it and give honor to all the martyrs of West Asia, all the martyrs of the axis of resistance, Sayed, Ali Khamenei, and all the martyrs of the Palestinian people, of people of Iran, of people of Lebanon, of people of Yemen, that they are suffering under the bombings every day of these murderous policies of Trump and Netanyahu. So I want to start this because it's really very important to tell that their blood will be really the flood that will be destroy imperialism and Zionist entity. Coming from there to Venezuela topic, for sure, as the speaker before and you, Jalil, mentioned, this that happened in Venezuela is the invasion of U.S. empire in the way of kidnap the president Nicolas Maduro and Celia Flores is totally illegal and unlawful, and is for sure violation even from their baked international law. But in this world that we are living now, imperialism and U.S. imperialism and Trump showing how is the reality. The reality is that they are telling that we can kidnap Maduro, and we can tell that Trump said that it's not international law, I am the law. In this world we are living, but we cannot accept this. We cannot accept because we know that our power is more strong than these murderous policies of U.S. imperialism. So about Venezuela topic, yeah, for sure, we mobilize also people inside Greece and for sure around Europe with our anti-imperialist front committees, together with coalitions about Venezuela. And we are demonstrate for the first day that it was the kidnap of President Maduro and Celia Flores. Until now, we have continuation. We have established as anti-imperialist front in different countries. We have established committees here in Greece. We have also a demonstration in front of U.S. Embassy in 17 of March, demanding the liberation of Nicolas Maduro and Celia Flores from U.S. empire prisons. And we have also the committee's continuation in other countries as Netherlands, Belgium, and other countries inside Europe, because it's very important to break also the disinformation that is building around the topic of Venezuela, and not only from Venezuela, all the disinformation that is building around all the invasions from the side of imperialism, because as we saw now with the Islamic Republic of Iran, the disinformation used as a tool together with the imperialist aggression of the side of US and Zionist entity. And for all these reasons, we are telling something very openly. From Venezuela to Iran, from Iran to Palestine, from Palestine to Lebanon, Yemen, Cuba, and around the world, the common enemy of the people is imperialism and Zionism. Is US imperialism, is NATO, EU, and Zionism. And this we must now unite all the forces, and we are doing this to break these murderous policies that they are trying to do. And we know that unity of people can win, because we saw this before. US imperialism and Zionism now is in very crucial situation, in a crisis, and they are extending their crisis for sure inside US, as we saw with the murdering of the people from the murderers IJ, and all the racist policies that they are doing inside, and all this repression that you face as Black people. But also in the whole world, US empire want to reoccupy, colonialize all the world. This that we are facing today in West Asia is the total colonization of West Asia. This that try to doing through Iran. They are trying to make the plan of Great Middle East plan of CIA, Great Middle East and North Africa plan from US. Imperialism is continuing now, and for sure they want to break also through Iran. They want to break also resistance of Gaza, resistance of Lebanon, Yemen, and etc. So we are seeing that is combined. Venezuela attack until Iran attack today is a continuation of the same policy of US empire. And against this, we are making so much demonstrations programmed, and from the beginning of this, as I told, for Venezuela, but now inside all this week, we have a big demonstrations against imperialism and Zionist attack to Iran, with a topic as stand with Iran, victory to the axis of resistance. And we are calling all the people in front of US Embassy in this Thursday. And we continue also with 4th of April, that we have as Anti-Imperialist Front, a general campaign, worldwide campaign. 4th of April, as you know, is the day of establishment of NATO. So we have an international call to all anti-imperialists, all progressive forces, all oppressed people of the world to act against US embassies, NATO institutes, US NATO bases. And we have a call here, and we will organize in front of US Embassy in Athens, and we are trying to organize also in front of Suda NATO base in Creta, a very crucial base actually. And we call all the people to join. More than 10 countries are joining this call, and will do inside Europe and also in other countries activities against NATO. 2 years we are doing all time this work, and this campaign is very important. So I want to mention, and for sure, is many things that we can discuss here about.
Let me bring Abbas into the discussion. That's very informative, and I'm very happy to see this work being done in the European front. It's important that we get as many as our comrades and allies in the European front to understand that we're all in this struggle together. That in fact, the U.S. imperialism is a major entity that is anti-human, anti-humanitarian. They're against all kinds of international law, and we have to figure out ways how to really build a national and international movement in support of in solidarity of these campaigns of oppression, these campaigns of colonialism, these campaigns of imperialism. Abbas, you was in in Iran, and you shared some. Matter of fact, you was on on
I was in
Iran.
Iraq too, so you was correct.
Yeah, okay, Iraq as well, right? But you was on Iran TV news at one point in time when you was in Iran. Can you share with us? I couldn't find the clip for it, but if you can you share with us your interview with Iran news, and also your interview with a couple of scholars in Iran, and what is going on today, Abbas?
Yeah, Assalamualaikum. Thank you for having me, and just being able to be here and have these discussions, especially with folks across the world, is important. I think as we build a new front, a new world internationalism that seeks to take the heel of white supremacy, the heel of this American Zionist axis that is trying to establish hegemony across the world off of our necks of oppressed people. What was going on with Iran? It's a complicated history of U.S. imperialism. I mean, it goes back before 1979. We can look at 1953 with the overthrow of President Mossadegh, who was popularly elected and democratically elected, and had alliances, particularly with the religious class as well, of people, right? So even when we think about 1953, typically it's like, okay, we're thinking in a very much nationalist aspect with the removal of religion. But you had religious scholars who were very much involved with Mossadegh's rise to leadership, as well as the nationalization of oil. 1979, you see the Islamic Revolution overthrow this puppet government of Reza Shah, right? Overthrow this monarchy, the same monarchy that has the people of West Asia within its grips, within these so-called Arab regimes, right? Of Bahrain, of Qatar, Kuwait, right? The Saudis, which we're seeing who've been aligned with the Zionists and U.S. axis. So 1979, in many ways, was a powder keg for the region, a powder keg in terms of indigenous Islamic revolution that overthrows the Zionist, the American, and the British grip on Iran. And it's a powder keg because it begins to influence the region. It begins to influence Muslims, Sunni and Shia across the region to think about what is independence and what is sovereignty from these monarchies and from colonialism, right? So 1979, it pretty much changes the face of the world, and we see an anti-imperialist revolution born within the hearts and the minds of the masses of people, and very much it's a revolution for the oppressed. It's a revolution trying to establish justice in the world, and this isn't just, I think people get wrong and they call it a theocratic regime. This is what the words they like to use, especially people in European countries in America. They keep calling it the Islamic regime. It's theocracy. We don't want theocracy. We don't want religion, right? Even though their lands are formed out of these crusades. But the Islamic Republic has always been about justice, justice for the oppressed, right? If we look at some of their very first actions, particularly in solidarity with the African world, was the kicking out of the apartheid government of South Africa. And replacing that government with replacing the embassy in Iran with the ANC and Mandela and those folks, right? So we look at this solidarity with South Africa. South Africa wasn't a Muslim country, right? But the values and the principles of the Islamic Republic is based off of justice, right? Based off of justice for the oppressed. We look at the Zionists. They had a embassy within the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Islamic Republic kicked out the Zionists and the PLO came in, right? If we look at, the takeover of the U.S. Embassy, which people love to cite, right? Imam Khomeini declared and basically said the women who were in the embassy, because of their status in Islam, must be released. And he recognized the oppression of Black people in America and said Black folks must be released. Right, even though that these folks were neo-colonial agents for the U.S. government in this den of spies and den of espionage, he recognized the oppression that women face and the oppression that Black people face. So when we think about the Islamic Revolution and its stances against imperialism, it stands fundamentally opposed, diametrically opposed to U.S. and Zionist hegemony. It is principled. It's a principled revolution based off of autonomy of their people, and it's Islamic revolution, right?
Sure.
So when we think about,
let me just jump in right quick on at one point that you made. During the course of they took hostages. The Iranian people took hostages in the U.S. embassies, and you said they released the Black hostages and women from that. And you base that on what? What is that theory? Is that theology that they did this, or then solidarity with other people's struggles in the world? I mean, why would they do something like that?
Yeah, well, it's fundamentally down to religious ethics, morals, and theology of looking at the world through oppression versus the oppressed. And what is our duty as Muslims, right, to the oppressed, regardless of religion, right? Because if we look at the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a liberator. Didn't matter if he was Muslim or not, right? So looking at that worldview through the lens of justice, through the lens of Tawheed, and understanding, the oppression of Black people, the enslavement of African people, and the oppression of women, this was a show of the morality of the revolution, right? The show of the ethics of the revolution, right? And this is what we kind of have on display today. As you look at the way the Zionists act, the way the American imperialists act versus the way the resistant act. So we see a new a new communal way of living being born, right? A humanitarian centric politic, right? Being born, right? So if we look at that as a case, as an example, what it does is it shows humanity in a new viewpoint, right? Because if we look at the propaganda, right, that is being waged, in many ways, America and the Zionists have failed in this propaganda war because more people are finally being able to see the truth, right? And that's kind of what we see with the Islamic Republic is clarifying what is the truth, right? It's a jihad of clarification, right? Of what is Islam, what is the truth, what is resistance, and what is this struggle to free Palestine, right? Because essentially, the Islamic Republic has been a foundational support in the freedom of Palestine. The Shia world in particular has been at the foundation of support for the liberation of Palestine and has paid a heavy price. And because Iran refuses to bow and to kiss the ring of Netanyahu and to kiss the ring of Donald Trump and to declare them princes of the world, they are under this vicious, imperialist, satanic form of warfare that is being waged against them. I mean, this is the level of evil.
Let me offer something else now. Talking to William before he got cut off, and hopefully he'll come back. But talking to William, he stated that the reasons, and I also stated too in that clip that I had, that the reason why they are challenging and want to take over Venezuela is that they want the oil. Can the same be said in regards to Iran? And the reason why they want to dominate Iran is that they want the oil.
It's a part of it. But what I say is it at the foundation? No. I think sometimes we look solely through maybe this materialist aspect of imperialism, which it's 1,000% about, but it's about autonomy. It's about self-reliance, about certain principles that reject capitalist imperialism, right? So if we look at Venezuela, for example, yes, it's about stealing the oil and changing geopolitical shipping lines and removing oil from being able to be transferred to Cuba, removing trade routes with the axis of resistance, in particular with Iran, Cuba, and trying to starve off and sanction the world. But simultaneously, it's about hegemony, and it's about this Judeo-Christian Western civilizational logic that they have created, these civilizational categories. And in many ways with Iran, this is religious warfare, right? People don't want to talk about the religious elements that is at the foundation of this crusade. I mean, we look at Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War that he so famously declares himself as. He has a tattoo called Kafir on his arm. Right, so he identifies himself as a disbeliever. He has the cross of the Crusades. The U.S. military chiefs are being propagandized and evangelized about this being a part of the return, creation of the rapture, right? Simultaneously, you have Zionist rabbis discussing how they want to build the third temple in Al-Aqsa, right, and to destroy the temple. And they've even talked about a false flag attack, saying, "Oh, what would happen if we magically had an Iranian missile booster destroy the mosque, and that would destroy the image of the Iranians, right? Because they want to build this third temple, right?" So I would say at the foundation of this too is this demonic, satanic access of evil that is doing blood rituals and is trying to create this Armageddon to bring about either Jesus for the Zionist viewpoint. Theologically, they want to trigger the return, they want to trigger Jesus coming, and for the evangelicals, they want to have the rapture where Jesus reappears, right? And if we look through the Islamic tradition in particular, either the appearance or the reappearance of Imam Mahdi, right, and the black flag coming from Khorasan, and modern day Khorasan is Iran, right? So the imperialists are very much have a religious fervor to what they are doing, right? Where it can't solely just be tied to capital accumulation and trying to dominate markets. It is also about them dominating the world in this and stampeding the cross and this Zionist aspect of Jewish supremacy that they're trying to establish in the world. So it isn't solely about oil. Oil, yes, is a part of it, but also they want to have hegemony. Complete hegemony and control of markets and control of the world and a religious hierarchy to that.
Okay, I hear that because we know that they're talking about trying to turn the United States or identify the United States as a white Christian nationalist country. I understand that. Konstantina, in your understanding and what's going on in Europe, and particularly the issues of NATO, right, and the fight, and particularly and the war between Ukraine and Russia, right? How does that play into this other war that's now being engaged with Iran? How does the anti-imperialist front going to develop a clear-cut understanding across the board, particularly across Europe, right, of being anti-imperialist? How do you see that evolving?
Yeah, exactly as you said, Jalil, is a combination. This that is facing now the world is exactly the same policies. This that it was happened in Ukraine with colorful revolution that it was started in 2014, actually for people that they want to take the streets for connecting Ukraine with EU and NATO, that it was totally baked from US and EU. We saw the same policies also in Iran now. It's the same policies of CIA. And as we saw in Ukraine, that this happened with Euromaidan in 2014, and some colorful revolutions attempts before, but 2014 was more total organized by the side of imperialism to give weapons to the local Nazis groups as of battalion and etc. Groups that now they are official, the army of Ukraine, as everybody knows. This actually situation is the same that Iran faced from the last week of December 2025 with producing of demonstrators and coup attempt inside Iran. This was obviously is the same policies. And I'm thinking that inside US you will face the same disinformation that we are facing here in the EU countries about the lies that they are trying to give to all the mass media to occupy the mind of the people about Iran, and the same issues that they make exactly with Russia and after the military operation of Russia in 24th of February of 2022. We saw the same things and the same policies. And why is this happening? Because all this machine, the war machine of the side of US imperialism, is something so methodically based after the Second World War. And all these policies of CIA started from long time before, with Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan, about colonializing all the world after the Second World War. And this is going together with the policies that is exist now in Ukraine and in the policies that is exist in Iran. But what is the difference? The policy of the side of imperialism is actually is the same. The issue is now that they are really want to, through Iran, they want to break the resistance axis as that is exist in the West Asia. Is a big goal of the side of US and Zionist entity to destroy all the axis of resistance in the area. And after that, for sure, is the total attack to Russia and China, the biggest goal of the side of US imperialism. But I'm sure that these policies that I saw when I was in past year, I was in a conference for 80 years of the anti-fascist victory of the people of the world in Russia, in Moscow. And this that I saw there, it was an anti-fascist conference from the side of KPRF, Communist Party of Russia's Federation, with more than 700 of participants there from all the global, let's say, from South Africa and West Asia and Latin America, from everywhere, and Europe. So there it was really something very obvious. US imperialism lost in the plan of Ukraine. It lost, and the people of Donbass and people of Russia won this war. Why? Because this war is totally illegal and unlawful, because try to extend the NATO existence in countries of the past Soviet Union, something that it will be never can happen so easily. So that's why they lost, even that they give so much money to the Nazi of Zelensky. This that we are facing today in Iran, and I'm passing there, is that actually this that when I was in Lebanon in the past September and October, with meeting with the resistance forces there, actually this that happened now, it was a prologue from them, that the resistance in Lebanon and Iran is continue against Zionism, even around the world, that they are telling that resistance is fallen in Lebanon, specifically under the after the massacre and genocide war of the Zionists. Resistance is telling no, we continue, and we continue because the path of all the martyrs, as Hassan Nasrallah said, for example, that Zionism and imperialism is like a spider web, can be defeated from the side of people that they resist against the Zionist entity. And this is happening exactly now in Lebanon, in all the areas. This happening now inside Iran. It happening in Tehran, in Qom, in Lebanon, in Bekaa Valley, in southern of Lebanon, in Beirut, everywhere. The resistance, it's be so in front line, and it's continue and will be defeated this plan. This happened also in the war in Ukraine. US imperialism defeated and EU defeated there, but they are trying to keep this war for their profits, but for their monopolies. But this is something that is more than this that is only the money issue. It's not only this, it's also the ideology of imperialism, of US imperialism, to try to occupy the world military, ideologically, economically, even theoretically, about the supremacy of EU, US, NATO imperialism. But this cannot so easily happen. It's not easily happen. And I'm sure that we will see the next days, because this really murderous attack that they made in the Iran and the massacre of Iranian people, it will be their last tragedy. They saw the same in Vietnam. They will see the same. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this is a call for all of us, for sure.
Yes.
And we believe that this is a call for a global intifada of the people.
A global
A global
intifada.
fight. Yeah,
I
yeah, a
like that.
global
I like
intifada against
that
U.S.
term.
imperialism.
Yes, yes. Abbas, in your understanding and based upon your own experience and having traveled to Iran, what is your feelings in regards to what she just shared and the so-called Middle East arena of warfare that's now being that we're now witnessing, and its impact for us in terms of Russia and also in China, knowing that the United States finds that both Russia and China be their premier nemesis in regards to world hegemony.
Yeah, I would say with Iran has already won the war. That would be my point, because what has happened so far is this idea of Dubai is no longer an idea. This idea of Qatar is no longer an idea. This idea of Bahrain and this so-called U.S. Zionist Greater Israel project of these monarchies being allied with the U.S., these monarchies being allied with the Zionists, this idea of protection for this area of U.S. military bases was destroyed within the first hour by Shahed drones. Right. So this is very much going to change the face of the region and allow for the people of the region to actually rise up, and instead of an Arab Spring, I would say maybe a Husseini Spring, right? Being able to overthrow these true regimes of these monarchs. And I think Iran is at the foundation, and they don't understand that this is something that you cannot defeat. Right? When Imam Khamenei refused to go in a bunker, when Imam Khamenei refused to go to Russia, I mean, that was never an idea of such a leader, and instead chose the path of martyrdom. Chose the path of martyrdom during Ramadan, right, and following this tradition, of his family, of Imam Ali being martyred during Ramadan, right, of Imam Hussein being martyred with his family, right. This level of spirituality, of the ideas of martyrdom, of the ideas of living on, and what it does is it nourishes the souls of the people, right? So we're seeing a level of national unity that is unprecedented inside of the Islamic Republic of Iran. We're seeing this revolution being born again and reborn in a new way in 2026, to where Iranian society is more united than it's ever been. You can make the argument that Iranian society right now is better during war than without it, because now the veil of imperialism, the veil of these wars that the sister was talking about in terms of these pseudo coups and these distractions, it is fully being able to be seen. The enemy's plot is being able to be seen, right? To where there's a unification of the people around their homeland and against this American and Zionist axis. So America is deeply miscalculated, deeply arrogant, and I think that arrogance is what they will drown in, because they don't understand Iran. They don't understand the people. They don't understand the geography. Do they think they could actually invade the Islamic Republic? Do they understand topography? I mean, they weren't even able to win in Iraq. They weren't able to win in Afghanistan, right? And Iran is very much the military apparatus has a very decentralized aspect of it that can exist essentially autonomously and in different zones, and to be able to resist. So the question of Russia and China, I would say Iran is at the centerpiece. That'll be my opinion, right? Because if we look at these global competing orders of capitalism, these global competing orders of the supremacy of this Western Judeo-Christian order, their goal is to eradicate Islam. That is their fundamental goal.
Eradicate Islam, huh?
I mean, it's the different worldviews, right? And I think.
Well, I think so. In my book, We Are On Liberators, I made mention of the fact that basically three ideologies that are trying to establish themselves as the world foundation, right? And that'd be capitalist imperialism or Judeo-Christian thought. That would be the Marxist-Leninist, communist, socialist thought. And that would be the theology of the Islamic concepts and thought. And we have these three premier or three principal ideologies that are at war with each other in terms of this fabricated idea that we're going to control the world, control the planet. And one of us is going to control the planet, rather than be in cooperation with one another and for the well-being of all peoples on the planet. And that is something that we have yet to grow into in our understanding. Konstantina, knowing that the white supremacists has been marauding parts of Europe and trying to, like what's going on in Italy and what's going on in Germany, the German premier just had a meeting with Trump here just the other day. How do you see that this is developing in regards to the relationship to the United States, particularly these white supremacist fronts and these white supremacist nationalist fronts? How do you see that developing out of Europe in relation to what's going on here in the United States and this white supremacist initiatives?
Yes, exactly. The German Prime Minister came in USA and spoke with Trump about the necessary act against the Islamic Republic of Iran as confronting the profits of West countries and West ideology, let's say. This is something that is very deeply uprising inside the European Union and mostly in the countries after the 7th of October elective flood operation. And this why, because all the states and for sure Germany in the front line, they are trying to build all the mentality of the state around the Islamophobia and around the policy that we must secure the profits of West people and don't let to open the door in the people that they're kind of like migrants and etc. And specifically Germany has the other point that is very truly racist law about the Palestinian peoples, that they are, because they after the Second World War and the Nazi crimes, they declared that the state of Jews must be built. So they have in their law Israel building as the law process. So you cannot speak out of this box. Even when I was in Germany for a demo, I was in a demo in South from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free slogan, and German police came and told me we must write penalty to you or arrest you. And I tell why? Because this is illegal. And I tell is a slogan, what this is illegal is it tell for German law is this is illegal. Okay, I'm from Greece, I didn't know, and I know for sure, but I told why is illegal, and they told me because you in our law you must accept the existence of Israel. This is something that is disgusting because they force the people to accept the occupation and the colonization and the massacre and the genocide of the Palestinian people. They're forced. And this that making all this, the ministers and the prime ministers and all of the people that they are working for the states in EU is to extend this mentality. And for Iran, we saw this so much inside Greece. You know that the disinformation that is building day by day around what is the Islamic Republic of Iran is huge. They have, I think you have also in US for sure, because it's the sender of Reza Pahlavi, and all these puppets, people that they are baked from the side of US and Zionist entity to celebrate of the bombings of the Iranian people now. They are people that they are telling so-called that they're Iranian, and they are telling, thanks Trump, thanks Bibi, about bombing Iran and killed Sayed Imam Ali Khamenei. This is disgusting. This is something that is happening through all the forces of disinformation in the high level. In Greece, we had the same issue, the same problem. Also, the ministers here, the ministers of immigration or the central government policy is exactly the same like Germany, is exactly. They are speaking, even the prime minister of Greece 2 days before called Netanyahu and they tell Israel has the right to counterattack. Why they have the right to counterattack? And is the same. Germany, Greece, and Cyprus inside EU, they have the worst position. They really have their blood in their heads because of the collaborator with the access of US and Zionists, and for sure the so-called access of Cyprus, Greece, and Israel is something that is in a high level of interest of US imperialism because they blockade Iran and Lebanon from the Mediterranean Sea and all this pass. So this is very important.
Okay.
But to let you know about all this situation inside Europe, because it's really very critical, and this a very good question that you made, Jalil, is increasing day by day. And that's why our duty as anti-imperialists and revolutionaries and or whatever so-called everybody, progressive person, is more now to broke the siege. We should broke the siege that they're building around the Islamic Republic of Iran, around the resistance functions in Gaza, the Palestinian resistance functions, the Islamic resistance in Lebanon, and etc. We must break the siege, really.
Thank you, Konstantina. Excellent explanation. I really appreciate your answer to that specific question in regards to what's going on in Europe and Italy, Spain, Germany, and how they are basically trying to consolidate this ideology of white supremacy and dominating the southern countries, the southern hemispheres, and particularly those who are not Christians and not of the Judeo-Christian philosophy. Abbas, we're getting close to our time now. Do you have any closing statements you'd like to make in regards to the work that you're doing, not only in regards to the issues of internationalism, right, but what's going on in your community right now? I know that you're the head of the People's Program in the Bay Area. Can you mind? Would you mind just sharing briefly, the People's Program and how people can contact you and contact the People's Program in Oakland?
Yeah, I would say in closing, we have to realize the importance of this historical moment that we have, and what is our way forward. We have to be clear about what is the direction that they are trying to take the world, and what direction are we attempting to take the world, right? And we have to clarify what is truth and what is falsehood, what is justice and what is oppression, what is resistance and what is oppression, right? And really build out a plan and a way forward for us to have self-reliance and for us to have sovereignty, right? So the work that we do here in Oakland, California, at People's Programs is building decolonization programs, is building the actual institutions that can take care of new African people, that can take care of our community to where we can begin to divorce ourselves from this capitalist, white supremacist system that is seeking to keep us in chains and reliance upon it, right? So through our grocery programs that we built, through our free breakfast programs that we have built, through our free community health clinics, through our tenants' rights programs, through these different institutions that we're building in our community, we are being able to divorce ourselves and develop the type of self-reliance that is needed for us to be autonomous from this system. If we say this is a great statement, if we could say this is such a satanic empire, why is our livelihood so attached to it, right? How are we going to be able to develop the institutions to be able to reject our own oppression and to be able to live free and dignified ways of life, right? So that's what we're doing here at People's Programs, is building these decolonization programs, building a people's movement, right? A people's sentence, a global movement where oppressed people could rise up and build power, because this is a question of power. Why are we letting them oppress us? Why are we letting them incarcerate us? Why are we letting them kill us? Why are we letting them genocide us? And what power will we develop as people with revolutionary consciousness to be able to stop these genocides and instead put humanity at the forefront?
Thank you, boss. Konstantina, again, I want to thank you for coming on the program, on the podcast. It's been a long time since we had a real conversation from when I was there and to now. Again, Valerie sends her love and her heart to the work that you're doing and to the people of the Anti-Imperialist Front. In closing remarks, Konstantina, what would you like to share with us?
I want to share something. First, is very great this work that you're doing, and it's very important to build our media, the people's media. So, very glad that I hear this, saw this project, and we will share more and more inside Europe. We have also our Anti-Imperialist Front TV, but we're glad to extend more also your media and to provide to the people to watch it and see what is the importance, because in this way we're breaking the disinformation with the voice of resistance, as this channel is doing. And from there I want to tell something that is, we must mention that the people has the right to resist, and resistance is not terrorism, and this is something very important. All people in Gaza, they have right to resist, and they have the right to resist by arms, even by the international so-called law. They have the right to resist by arms. And the people in Lebanon and the people in Iran, because countries that they are under attack and under occupation, the people can officially use the right to resist. And also inside the countries that they are fascist regimes, you can do this resistance. And I'm telling that the real terrorists is those that they produced all these terror lists, all these terror lists that produced by US, EU, and Zionist colonial entity is those are the real terrorists and not the people that they resist. And this is one mention. Even they're targeting so much because we're under targeting from the side of Zionism and imperialism is not a problem. It's not a problem at all. We can really pay this price. We are ready for pay this price. Comrade Jalil know very well this about the 50 years inside the prison, and you continue this great job in the side of the oppressed people of the world against imperialism and all the collaborators. And we are ready to pay the price. And we are telling the biggest terror organization of the world is US and NATO. And this is openly. And Zionist entity, these massacres of the people will be defeated. Maybe today not, but very soon. This I want to tell. Thank you really very much about this invitation. And the people's resistance will win. And I'm making a call to all the people. Let's unite, fight, and win against US, NATO imperialism, and Zionism.
Thank you, sis. Lastly, can you tell us how people can get in contact with you or get in contact with the Anti-Imperialist Front?
Yeah, sure. You can find us in our channels, in social media as Instagram, Telegram, in our blog spots that we have all the email contacts and etc. And you can send freely. And we want to unite all the forces around the world that they are ready to fight against imperialism. So everybody of you are welcome. And I'm really believe that your work is really effective to the people. Continue the struggle, and don't forget all the prisoners, all the fighters of resistance, all the freedom fighters and the prisoners inside the US imperialist jails, in EU, in Zionist jails around the world. And really free Palestine from the river to the sea, victory to the acts of resistance, victory really to the heroic struggle of all the people of West Asia and around the world. Thank you very much.
Abbas, you did not, and I'm giving you another opportunity. Can you tell us how we can get in contact with you and the People's Program?
Yeah, check out People's Programs, peoplesprograms.com, at People's Programs on Instagram. And, brick by brick, we're going to build this movement. We're going to get free. We're going to free the land.
Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Sister KONSTANTINA, we'll be back in touch soon, very soon. All right. You have been watching, we are on Liberators podcast on Anything Entertainment Network, produced by the Black Dragon Multimedia Enterprise. Lastly, I'd like to say to our viewers that we are still preparing for a national mobilization against genocides on July 4th, 2026 in Atlanta, Georgia. That is our campaign. We have to bring a convergence, a national convergence of progressive forces here in the United States so we get on the same page. We may not be on the same paragraph, but we need to be on the same page, and at least in the same book, a book of anti-imperialism, a book of anti-white supremacy, a book of anti-capitalist imperialism, a book of anti-patriarchy, a book in support of and pro-national liberation of independence of poor and oppressed peoples around the world. That is our goal. That is our objective. We are on Liberators. Thank you.
Huey Newton founded the Black Panther Party with the help of his Oakland City College classmate Bobby Seale and his childhood friend David Hilliard. Writes.
So the concept is this, basically. The whole black nation has to be put together as a black army.
United States, with a readership of over 250,000 per week. Communities. Due to their growing popularity, FBI Director.
So the concept is this, basically. The whole black nation has to be put together as a black army.
Back or you'll be arrested for obstruction. Then arrest me, but you're not taking it without probable cause.
Hypocrisy. Alright? And we already know that, right? Didn't Malcolm say that democracy is nothing but plain hypocrisy?
What's it called?
Free the land, you understand?
That's right, free the land, you understand. That we are not going to survive the revolution, we have to build the revolution.
Buying our products, but also not enough that they don't need to keep working for us.
That felt like scripture, you know what I'm saying?
A sober analysis and like what is the actual need in your community.
What was the role and purpose of the police here?
These folks were and what their role was.
Does not detract in any way from any organization doing what they're doing.
Asata Shakur, so we lift up all of those names and all those who we weren't able to bring home who are still with us.
I'm Jalil Mutakim, and you have the podcast of We Are Our Own Liberators.